for those of you who don't know, and I think it's a lot of this whole process is going to be film school for people, because you're going to literally watch this film from conception, into production, into, so and that's why we want to, build this audience. It's sort of like, it's like the new way of making film, really, and building that audience even before, the film gets made. Now, obviously, we have a very big leg up because we do have, Heather's, amazing novel, which you can get on Kindle, and there'll be links for all that. And I think almost every backer level of the Kickstarter project will actually, be gifted a Kindle copy of it. But it is $2.99 for Kindle, and I think you can get it for Nook as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. iTunes.
So film is also a business. So, in order to try to maximize the profit of that business, which, when it comes to going and getting the money, which inevitably you have to do, the business needs to be sound and have a sound foundation. So when you option a property, Heather as an author, literally has to trust me in totality with this property and in the medium of film. And that's a very big step. And I told her, I said, look, that's going to be very hard. Thank you for that. I mean, it is really a big honor. And so I guess my question is, what was it that convinced you? Because I know when we first started speaking, you were like, I wasn't really thinking about it. I had friends warn me, don't do that. And, so just what was it that finally convinced you to say yes? Because we spent a little bit of time, at least, a month, 6 weeks going back and forth. And, I feel like, I was courting you. We were dating.
I'm still waiting for dinner. Okay.
It's coming. It's coming.
All right. Yeah, other than your beautiful wife, Brooke.
Of course, Brooke. That's it.
That really, honestly, it's so interesting. I don't even know how Brooke and I met 7 years ago, but that helped because I had friends saying there are these skeezy filmmakers out there, you cannot trust these guys, blah, blah, blah. And my idol, Paulo Coelho, refuses to make his books into any films. And so I was definitely okay, what is really going on here? But honestly, Lee, we had that conversation. I think it was maybe the second conversation we had, but when we talked about the vision for the film, and we talked about the elements that you wanted to bring from the novel into the film. And I just felt the fire and the passion to bring this project to life. And I love the elements that you were bringing in. There were things that, if I wrote the novel over, I would have redeveloped the characters in some of these ways. And you brought in that masculine perspective that as a feminine and being raised in a whole family of all girls, I just didn't have. And I got so excited by the possibility of bringing this enhanced, expanded vision of these characters and bringing them to life and bringing them to more people that it just felt right, honestly. Every piece of this just felt in alignment. And once I saw the director's treatment and your vision for it, I just felt, yes, this has to happen. This is not about anything convoluted. This is really the story that all of us share, and I love that you're going to be sharing it with folks from start to finish, because we're all part of this journey, and I love your vision behind it.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you. And that actually segues really nicely into, obviously we want to create awareness in the the spiritual communities and the personal development communities, which are sort of the obvious communities to start building the audiences. You mentioned a lot of influences in the book, from Abraham Hicks to Alison Armstrong to the African psychic, who in real life is he doesn't like to be called a psychic. He is a spiritual guide. Obviously, we want to support these people in the community as well as coming together to support the making of this film. What else? That was kind of what I really had on tap for this.
Well, I wanted to add too that we'll have some audiobooks available too as part of the backer campaign, so folks can hear me narrate the novel. And it's going to be hilarious because I don't speak Portuguese and there's Portuguese in the novel. I also don't chant at kirtan correctly, and there's also some kirtan chants. So I'm really excited to to share the wealth on that one as well. I think overall, Lee, I think this is so exciting. I'm not sure if we missed anything.
How did you do in the sexier of the scenes in terms of reading them?
It was terrible. I had a male engineer that I didn't know, and I was like, dude, just don't judge me, okay? Like, I channeled this, so it's not me. Yeah, I was really nervous. I did not anticipate that. It took like 7 hours. It's a lot of work to narrate your own audiobook, FYI. It was a lot of work. But it should be entertaining, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I mean, I should mention, I mean, while this is, as a film will be, a romantic dramedy of sorts, it's very sexy. I mean, Heather gets all 50 Shades of Grey in a few parts, and I mean,
we do.
So, there is that.
Yeah, and honestly, like I do want to say that when I wrote those sex scenes, like they were one write through, and as you know, that rarely happens, right? Usually, it's a heavy rewrite process in a novel. I wrote those in one hit and never touched them. My beta readers didn't touch them. My editor didn't touch them. And so I'm really convinced I channeled that.
But they were very loving and beautiful in their sexiness, and that was another wonderful thing for me as a filmmaker to figure out, wow, how am I going to translate this to screen, because there's a lot of exposition, especially obviously from the female point of view about things, and so and obviously we have to show that in a way, and also keep the rating of the film to a sensible level. So yeah, so I mean that's gonna be fun to bring that to the screen too, and obviously I have some wonderful ideas about that.
A fun challenge for you, right?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you bring in
absolutely.
all this energy and conscious?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, for me as a director, it's all about, trust, and my actors, are really just going to have to trust me, and we're going to have to, develop that bond, and, and that's, that, again, that's something I love as a director, working with actors, and, and I was an actor myself for 10 years, and so that, that helps, that's, I draw heavily from that, in my directing. It's funny, also interesting, just to, one of the things, like when we first started speaking, and, when I did my first short film, that was also something that I downloaded, like when I was in Asbury Park, we were visiting friends, and I downloaded this wonderful little story, and produced, directed it, finished it in like 4 weeks, and entered into film festivals, and it did fairly well in film festivals. But now here we are, 7 years after my first short, and now finally making my first feature, which I've been looking for this for a long time, and I've been looking for the right story. I've been looking for I've written things myself, and even developed ideas into scripts, but this has been the first thing that has just felt 100% right, and right now, and just so like poignant in this day, and relevant to my life. I think again, it's a very universal story that I'm very privileged to be telling on film. So again, Heather, I can't say thank you enough.
Thank you so much, Lee, and I feel so honored. I really feel like this was all brought together perfectly, from divine intervention here, bringing me with Brooke, and then just how everything has flowed. It just really feels like this is so meant to be, and I'm just thrilled to have you be the one telling this story in this medium. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Awesome. It was so great talking to you, and
you too, Lee.
And we'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Okay, give my love to Brooke and the girls.
All right, will do.